So the topic is basically how to manage companies and how to lead into this age of constant change, into this industrial revolution that we're living into. So as you probably know, it all started with the agrarian revolution 10,000 years ago, when people understood how to grow crops and how to get more food. And after that, basically the cities arose and the life of people changed. But then came the Industrial Revolution. It was not actually long ago. In the second half of the 18th century, when the steam power came and the railways appeared, and it basically changed the way people live, people produce goods, people can basically not only utilize human power and the power of animals, but also power of engines generally that work on steam. But then came the second industrial revolution, again after a bit more than a century, with electricity. And well, people debate whether he's from Croatia or from Serbia, but still Serbia, agree. With Nikola Tesla, probably one of the most important scientists in the history of humankind, who found out a lot of things about electricity, I would say, in this way. But then the third industrial revolution came, and this is almost well, it's in my age. I was born in 1977, so the third industrial revolution was in the end of last century, in the 1970s, when the semiconductors appeared. So we got our computers and we got the internet. So I mean, before that, the computer would fill half of this room. Now in your smartphone you have a computer which can generate more data and then process more operation than anything that was created in the 1970s. But today we're living through a totally new revolution, which is built basically on the digital technologies of the third industrial revolution and the new breakthroughs, which basically are the artificial intelligence, the new materials that arise around us, and also the biological realm, which is the bioengineering and everything that is connected with it. What are the types of innovations that define this revolution? First of all, it's the product innovation. I mean, we see how the products develop. We all use these iPhones that are transformed into new generations of phones, smartwatches, whatever. Yeah. So new products arrive, and they significantly improve the way we live, significantly improve the way we work, and significantly improve the environment around us. Also, process innovation. We have a lot of mechanisms that are helping us, and these mechanisms are developing. You see companies like Tesla, who are struggling to have fully automated factories. Elon Musk is building one of them in Nevada currently. You have other industries who also are using technologies that do not require the presence of humans, and less people are working on new plans. Marketing, again, you can reach the consumer by a lot of different channels, be it internet, be it the smartphone, again, that is always with you, be it some kind of TV, I don't know, station, channel, whatever. Yeah. So you basically can deliver the message to the client faster, more effectively, customized, etc. And also the organizational innovation. I mean, the way the workplace is organized, the way you communicate. Like, for example, I'm here today, but I have on me 2 iPhones that I have all my emails, all my messengers, etc. I'm always connected with my colleagues who can, in case of emergency, always reach me, and I can basically communicate, make decisions, etc. This is the reality today. 10 years ago, you would need to send probably, I don't know, make a phone call, or 20 years ago you would need to send a fax to reach somebody. Now you always you're in a constant contact with people who are far away from you. This also changes the way the organization works. So the transformation has different priorities, but there are a number of them that I would like to highlight. Mobile internet, again, it's widely available. You have smartphones that everybody is using, not only in developed countries, but also in Africa. So some countries, for example, in Africa, have jumped from for this stage of backbone cables laying in the ground immediately to people having phones or smartphones that they can basically utilize living in some distant village and through this smartphone to, for example, have banking services. Also cloud, it's widely utilized now. You have your own photos, I guess, on this cloud, but you also have industrial facilities that use cloud, and they interchange data between each other, and by this means they process data and help you make the decisions much faster. Also, the consumer side, you have e-commerce. That is, of course, you know about that, but you also have the social media that are currently influencing a lot of things. The way you basically make your purchases, the way you shift your attitude towards some kind of fashion or even politics. And this is also delivered to you by different channels. So the so-called Omni-Channel Infrastructure, when you have a lot of things around you that are connected. So you can have you can make a search in the internet by, I don't know, looking for some hotel in some kind of distant place, but then at the same time this data is transferred to your social network, and the social network will give you some kind of advice on how to go, what to see in this country. So everything is being interconnected, and the industry is using these omni-channels in order to deliver the message to you and extract the money from you by providing you this service. That basically influences the way how value is created for the customer and how basically the decision-making chain is structured in different companies. So as I said before, all these new technologies are affecting our present. The AI, what is AI? Is basically the algorithm that is written by humans, and that helps you to digest huge amounts of data and come to some kind of conclusion. We see already some companies that already have AI in boards of directors that help them make the decisions. Officially, AI is in the board of directors of some companies. And I know some companies in Russia, for example, like Sberbank. This is the biggest bank in Eastern Europe that actively uses artificial intelligence in making decisions by analyzing a lot of data from different customers. I spoke once to their CEO, and he said that they are making or saving or making hundreds of millions of dollars in net profit by using AI advice. You have advanced robotics and new forms of automation. I think this is something that will develop very quickly in the nearest future, as these technologies will be widely available, will become cheaper. I guess you saw some videos on YouTube or some social network of companies like Boston Robotics when these robots are already jumping and making saltos and then whatever. 10 years ago, you wouldn't imagine this kind of stuff. I guess in 5-10 years, it will be much more advanced. And in this respect, I guess we will see more mechanism robots around us, especially helping elders, especially helping in some hazardous conditions when people are not advised to go inside, for example, during a fire or some kind of chemical environment or something that basically some confined space where people cannot go. So you probably we will be using this kind of robots and mechanism in the nearest future. The internet, the mobile internet, that is all around us, and basically I think we already got used to that you can get almost any information that you want by going through your phone into Google and looking for this thing. Try going to some country in Africa where you don't have an internet and you try to find your location in the middle of some savannah, and you cannot find the restaurant advice, and it's getting already a bit, I would say, strange and uncomfortable. But I mean, 10 years ago you didn't have, or 15 years ago you didn't have this service. Now you have it, and you get used to that. Sensors and other internet, the Internet of Things. This is a very big thing. And first of all, you think about some refrigerator that sends a signal to the shopping, to the nearest supermarket that you're running out of milk. But actually, it's a much bigger thing. It's an big industrial trend when you have the possibility to install a lot of sensors on very expensive equipment, like for example in oil and gas industry. You have equipment that costs hundreds of millions and sometimes dozens of billions of dollars. When you have to measure a lot of things that go inside this equipment, like pressure, temperature, the vibration, whatever. So you can install all these sensors and equipment on your devices, and then collect this data and process it and get better advice of what to do. But we'll come back to all these things a bit later. I don't know whether you invested in Bitcoin. Some people did, and some people did very well. I know some of them, and this is something. But I guess this is a big hype, and hopefully nobody of you lost money. But the blockchain technology itself, this is the future, I think. I believe that it will revolutionize the way a lot of contracts are performed, a lot of data is stored, and we will see more security in terms of privacy, maybe, and in terms of ownership of having security for the ownership of some things. 3D printing, also a new technology, developing very fast. It's getting cheaper and cheaper. I guess that in maybe 10-15 years we'll see that we will be able to print things from scratch by just using some raw materials that are widely available. And I guess when humanity will install a colony on Mars, we will be using actively 3D printers by, I don't know, building some equipment from some, I don't know, sand collected on the surface of Mars. We see autonomous vehicles, drones, everything. We actually in our company are starting to use it because sometimes you have to reach distant locations in order to have a look at some kind of pipeline that is like 5 kilometers away from the place you are. So you send a drone to do that, or you're gonna have autonomous vehicles in the cities, and companies like Tesla and others are already testing these autonomous vehicles. I know that I think they already have trucks running through United States autonomously with the driver sitting inside the cabin. But I believe this is the future, and it will influence very much the oil and gas industry, of course, because this will influence the way how you refuel your car. Probably you will be using electric cars. Probably you will not need to go to a gas station in the future because the self-drive car will just go into some place to recharge during the downtime period. We have new materials arising around you, like graphene and others that are lighter, that are stronger, that allow you to produce new products and allow you to go into other environments and probably go to space faster, by meaning that you will be able to bring more structures to the orbit of our planet in order to explore the space, go into space mining or go to Mars, whatever. But I guess we'll see a big revolution in this field in the near future. You also have genetic advances, and some people have the opinion that this will be maybe the most revolutionizing area in the nearest future. But I spoke once to one guy who is in private equity, and he told me that, I mean, physics and chemistry, everybody knows all the elements and everything that is already in our physical world, and basically what is running by the laws of physics. But bioengineering and these processes are a big field that to be researched, and we might see big advances in terms of prolongation of life of people. And I guess that our generation will already see people who will be living above 150 years or more, and hopefully we will have the possibility to enjoy this time and use these technologies that will be hopefully widely available in the nearest future. New energy sources, together with the climate change that is definitely affecting our planet. We see some countries that are actively developing these new energy sources. We see China that is very quickly promoting these technologies. The biggest solar fields and the wind parks that exist are currently being built in China. They officially made it as a government policy. I understand them because they have really big problems with pollution, and for example, Beijing is a really difficult city to live because of the situation with gases that come, the exhaust gases that come from cars and from industry. So they're really worried about that. But why it's happening? Not just because the government decides that, but because the technology develops. So you have cheaper and cheaper technology. The photovoltaics, the solar panels that are being used are becoming cheaper, are becoming more effective, more reliable. Also, the wind generation facilities that currently are being built are not being subsidized. So basically, in the beginning of this era, you were subsidizing up to 300 euros per megawatt of installed capacity of wind energy. Currently, the subsidies are in the low tens of euros per megawatt, or even without their facilities being built in the North Sea. I think it's in UK or in Norway, but they're already starting to build wind parks without subsidies, meaning that the technology available is so effective that the wind generator, you don't need to subsidize this wind park in order to build it. Quantum computing, we'll probably see a big jump in like totally new jump in the way computers can analyze data, the amount of data and the speed that they analyze. So all these things are around us, and they're influencing our lives and the industries we work or we will be working in. What are the opportunities? Basically, we will be able to better plan, better control what is going on around us by facilitating, basically all these advances in technology will facilitate the decision-making process. We'll have greater flexibility, not only in manufacturing, but in investment decision-making. We'll be going to the market much faster because we will process more data quicker, and if the company changes the processes that are inside the company, we will be able to adapt, and it will be necessary to adapt in order to make the changes in product development or investment decisions to make these decisions faster. we will see that the products will be more individual. So you see it now on your smartphone that you have your individual screen and you have your applications, etc., etc. But we'll have more products that will be more customized to you. Be it a car, be it some kind of product that are customized for your needs. Transportation and communication costs. I remember when I was a student, it was difficult. In order to plan a trip to Europe, for example, you had to go to a travel agency, find a ticket plane, etc. Now, in half an hour, you can arrange everything, or even 15 minutes, you can arrange everything through your smartphone. Buy a ticket, book a hotel, I don't know, find out the places on Google Maps where you want to go, and you are done. Yeah. So the technology basically makes it makes us much closer to each other. The supply chains will change because I mean, with all this optimization and everything, you will be able to choose the best optimal way how to deliver goods, for example, from, I don't know, Russia to China, or from Latin America to Europe. And this will allow companies to be more competitive. Again, this increases the competition, but at the same time, it lowers cost and makes other industries more competitive. You will improve the quality of things that are around you, again, with competition, with new materials, with new technologies, and you're going to get better customer satisfaction. But again, it's not easy. It will require a lot of investment, and sometimes investment in things that are not so sure that will deliver the result. And I can describe you an example when, for example, we're discussing something in our company about using some provider that is proposing to you a technology that collects data from sensors on, for example, on an oil well. You can never know whether this technology is really working, or whether this specific provider will develop this technology in the future. So you're always hesitant whether do you want to choose this provider with an open platform that can be connected to other technologies, or you want to use proprietary technology, and then basically you make a bet on this specific provider, and for the next 10 years you buy technology from him, as an example. You, as a manager of a company, always is looking for new employees that will be able to sustain this pace of technology. And this probably is one of the most important things, because we are living now in an age when you have to learn constantly. You have to challenge yourself about things that are around you, and you have to be open-minded for new approaches and new things that come to our table. We are currently, with all these technologies, also lacking regulations. You see the Bitcoin, for example, environment. Some countries want to prohibit it. Other countries are developing their own cryptocurrencies. So we are lacking currently the environment in order to have it in order and to have it certified. That's connected with the legal situation and with all things concerning connected to external data. So some technologies have a very low maturity level, but they are developing, and you have to keep the pace in keeping track of all these technologies. Data security is getting more and more important. Hacking the systems of some company may influence the work of the company greatly, and you have to invest into networks and specialized people or specialized services that will defend your company, not only what you write on your email, but on the security of systems that are running, for example, a power plant or a refinery. in all this universe of technologies, new trends and hypes, you have to prioritize, and you have to structure the way you work with your colleagues in order to focus on really key things, because a lot of the things that are around us are just the hype, and not always bring the ultimate result that you want to see. Sometimes you have technologies that are not developing as fast as you would like in some regions specifically, and this is stopping a bit the development of these technologies. Insufficient stability and network of data. Yes, it's again it's connected with the expansion and with the network that you work on. This is an example of an industry 4.0 for energy, how it's changing. And from this slide, you can see that the Industrial Revolution has, first of all, influenced how the electricity, how the energy is generated. You see advances in generation of renewables, as I said, photovoltaics and the wind technology. You see especially you see it when you compare it to conventional generation of power from, for example, from gas or from some different hydrocarbons that are being utilized for generation of electricity. Then you have advances in storage, and in power transmission. So currently, the challenge is not to store energy during one night, for example, or store the energy that you have generated during the day in order to use it during the night. Now the challenge is to store the energy for a season. For example, you generate energy during a summer in Africa, you put this energy into some kind of battery, and then you transport this battery to some north of Europe, and then you can use it for the whole winter. This is the challenge that will, when it will be solved, it will bring new advances into the energy industry, and it will very much influence our industry, oil and gas, and it might come in the nearest future. Again, consumption, you have for your traditional type of consumption, but the value chain is changing. Now you are having the energy generation being closer, solar panel that are being installed on the roof of your house. You have the storage facility again closer to the source of basically to the unit that is consuming this energy. So you have your battery inside your house, like the Tesla battery, for example, that is being now sold, and then you can also generate your own energy and distribute it to the network. So the whole value chain is being changed, and this is influencing our lives, and this is influencing our industry that we're working, oil and gas industry. Again, the efficiency is changing very much. You see huge advantages in efficiency of generation and efficiency of consumption of energy. But if you compare the oil and gas industry that I'm working in with other industries like media, like retail, like public sector, you see that we are on the left of this, on the left side of this slide, and we are not so advanced as the Netflix or Ubers or Amazons. Why so? Because of several reasons. Well, first of all, our industry is very capital intensive. So if we want to make a project, usually it starts with at least millions of US dollars, maybe billions, or maybe tens of billions of US dollars. So the investment cycle is quite long. You have to first analyze the investment opportunity. Then you have to produce some kind of equipment, which is a long lead item. Then you have to deliver it, build it, launch it, etc. So the investment cycle is very long. And by the end of the investment cycle, you may have absolutely new technologies that already are available. At the same time, you have the price of a mistake in our industry is quite high. That's why the investment decisions are sometimes made after a lot of evaluations and a lot of using a lot of judgment. At the same time, we are very cautious in using something new. Why so? Because we are working in a dangerous industry. We are working with hydrocarbons, and hydrocarbons can burn, can explode, and you have to be really advanced in your health and safety environment, health and safety issues. Still, in the oil and gas industry, if we are looking at it, we have top areas of focus for the next 3 to 5 years, which are the analytics of data. So the industry is installing a lot of sensors on its equipment, and it's collecting its data. But then the thing is, what you're going to do with this data? So you need to have the right algorithms that analyze the huge amounts of data and give you some kind of options to make a decision on, or the algorithms are making the decision for you. The Internet of Things. This is connected with the sensors and everything. It will be a big advance in the nearest future. The mobile devices is also something that we will see more and more in our industry, because sometimes our facilities are dispersed, and if you're working in a field, in an oil field somewhere in a distant place, you need immediate access to data. You need immediate exchange with the computer which is installed in the office, or with sensors that are installed on some kind of well. I mean that if an operator, for example, comes to look at some kind of well that is like 50 kilometers from the nearest city, before that he would go there, look at this of what is some kind of indicator on the well, and then call his boss, the boss will call his boss, etc., and it will be a long chain of command. Nowadays, you can install sensors on a well, and basically via communication, via cellular communication, you already have a kind of pre-cooked decision on what to do, because the well already gives you the temperature that is on some part of this mechanism. It gives you vibration instruction, and gives you a lot of data that help you make an educated decision. The fastest areas of growth for the next year also will be the robotics and the drones. We discussed it a bit earlier. I believe that as long as we solve the problems with batteries, we'll see more and more of these things around us. Artificial intelligence, algorithms, and the technology that we can wear that can enhance the possibilities of the workers. Industry 4.0 will transform the oil and gas. Exploration, as I said, is one of the most capital-intensive parts of the industry. And I can give you an example of our company. We invested around, not such a big money, but around 12 million euros into our scientific and technological center. We bought some supercomputers there, and we trained a number of people. And now we're able to analyze the data much better. What it gave us. 5 years ago, the number of wells, the percentage of wells that were dry was about 50%. So we were just spending money drilling wells, and 50% of them were dry. Now we have 100% of wells are being effective and successful. So by collecting data by 3D and 2D seismics, we're able to analyze them and basically make the better decision in order to use the investments in a more effective way. This was the example for the upstream. So you basically have more sensors installed on your facilities. You have better equipment that is smarter and that is helping the people to to make the decisions faster. In terms of midstream, so basically when you get the oil out of the ground, you have to transport it or store it. You have to have a lot of you can have a lot of sensors that help you analyze the value chain that you're using. For example, you can have a full picture of how much oil you being transported, how much oil is being stored, how much oil you have on hundreds of your gas stations around your network, and when you have to refill anything. And you don't use people to put the calculation on paper. It's all already automated and being done by computers. For downstream, in refining, refinery itself is the most expensive and most concentrated piece of capital at least in our company. So it's a refinery that costs billions of dollars. It has a lot of pipes. It has a lot of very expensive equipment that work at high temperatures and high pressure. So in order to understand what's going behind this thick wall of metal, you can have sensors that analyze and predict when you have to do the maintenance, when you have to do to shut down the factory, the refinery, or shut down some kind of one of the units that you are using. So all this predictive maintenance is only possible when you have these sensors installed. When you collect this data, extract the necessary pieces of data out of this huge amount, and then make an educated decision. The technologies that are developing are being developed by different companies, and we see companies that are being the front runners of this. Not specifically the companies that I mentioned on this slide. We have new companies arising, I think every year, maybe every month. You basically the advantages or these new technologies are influencing the whole value chain. Exploration and production we already discussed. Asset management, how you exploit the equipment that you use. The digital customer experience is another aspect that we'll come to that a bit later. And robotics, as I mentioned before. In NIS, for those of you who don't know, NIS is a relatively small oil and gas company. We are producing 1.2 million tons of oil and gas, refining 3.8 million, and have a distribution network of around 420 stations in 4 countries. Compared to oil majors in the world, like compared, for example, with our mother company, Gazpromneft, that produces 90 million tons of oil and gas, we're relatively small. But we're vertically integrated, so we're able to use all the universum of technologies that are available currently to us. And that's why we're trying to look at 3 different aspects of digital transformation in NIS. First of all, we're always trying to understand what are the available technologies around us. And it's a very difficult task because everybody is telling you, the technology providers are always coming to you and telling that they have the best, they have the future, the cheaper, and the more effective. And you have to really very carefully analyze and understand what is being sold to you. We are using digital approach in our digital transformation, and it's basically a change on how you make the decisions and how you build your managerial process inside the company. First of all, it comes with a dream. Then it follows the design phase, and then it goes to the execution phase, the delivery. And the standard procedures in a big corporation are not always customized, not always fit to digest these new technologies. So sometimes you have to work in an agile approach by basically allowing people to make quick decisions, by not judging too hard on their failures, and by giving them the opportunity to create and being responsible for the results of their creation. And that comes to the digital culture. And this is probably the most important and the most difficult thing, because digital culture, maybe it's a fancy slogan, but you have to live through it. And you have to have a specific mindset inside the company, in the management and between the employees, in order to implement that. So we identified 3 stages for digital technologies in our company. The first stage is basically operational data, and this is where we're living. A lot of data being collected in some kind of reports, analyzed, a lot of people employed that working with this data and making the decisions. The next stage, and don't look at the dates below because we want to do it much faster, is the analytics of this data and the visualization. Whether it will be a dashboard or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is how basically you work with this information and how it helps you to make the right decisions. And then the next stage is prediction and alternate solutions. Prediction, I already mentioned predictive maintenance. This is a big chunk of our investments. So if you are not stopping your refinery 1 month every 2 years, but you can predict what you have to repair and when, it really brings a lot of value, brings a lot of money into the company. A stopover of a refinery like ours, which is a very small refinery, may cost you tens of millions of dollars for the stopover. But in order to understand whether you need to stop it or you need to stop it partially, again, you collect the data, you make the analysis, and after that you make an educated decision. In order to implement this approach, we will see change in roles and responsibilities. So before that, the people on the ground were just observators and were looking at what they saw and then consulting with their bosses. Now we should come to a stage when the people on the ground will be collecting more data, and we will be using algorithms in order to make the decisions immediately on the ground. The business processes should be optimized again, and they should be shorter. The life cycle of investments, the life cycles of some decisions should be shorter, faster, and more effective. And the technologies that arise will influence the materials and the equipment that we're currently using, be it an iPad that the operator is carrying with himself on the refinery, or some artificial intelligence advisor that will be able to give him advice on the situation on some distant well. We also will transform how we work with our customers, and this is an example of our pilot project that we're thinking of implementing in the near future. So it's a digital experience for the client, when the client is able to, using his mobile device, to understand where is the nearest gas station, and by coming to this gas station, by using the QR code on his phone, by basically filling in the gas tank of his car, and then driving away, because the payment will be made automatically without any credit cards or interaction with the cashier. So this is one of the projects that we're doing, and I guess a lot of other companies in the world are thinking in this direction. The digital culture needs. I think that well, we're talking about culture is very difficult because you really have to hire people or work with people or transform people that are working in the company into a digital thinking mode. And that's why I think one of the most important things in this digital revolution is to have the right people and to be able to attract the right people to the company. And once I was listening to an executive from a company called Renault, the automaker, the car auto producer, and they made a digital Renault Digital, some kind of entity that had a digital a target to do all the digital projects inside the company. And he explained to the auditorium, he was talking in a small auditorium, that basically they couldn't attract the right people to the company because Renault is a very well-known company that pays good money but doesn't attract the young people, because young people want to have different lifestyle, they want to interact in a different way, they want to have an Apple computer and not the cheap computer that Renault was providing to them. So they created a separate company, separate entity that attracted the right people, and after that they spread these digital new digital projects throughout the company, through the big Renault, out of this Renault Digital. And this is one of the challenges that we currently have, that I guess people know our company because we are the biggest, the most, the top 3 employers in the country. We pay good money, but still we are not the #1 employer for the new generation of people that are able to deliver all the things that I spoke before. So this is one of the challenges for us, to be transformed and to attract such people. As I said, it all comes to people, and I hope that some of you might be joining our company maybe in the future, or you'll be joining other companies and you will be bringing new to the table, thinking in new and more progressive ways, and teaching the people who spend maybe much more time in the companies that you'll be working, teaching them the new ways that the companies should be organized. Well, and before I finish, I just wanted to give some ideas of if you are spending your time currently at university, try to learn as much as possible. Try to have fun while you are studying, because probably academic success is very important, of course, but still you have to have fun, and you have to take from this education a network of friends and a network of colleagues that you will be able to interact in the future. But still, push yourself, set up for yourself ambitious goals in order to achieve them and overachieve them. Try to use the time wisely in order to see as much as possible. Try to travel the world. You have these possibilities now. Try to read, learn, and as I said before, have fun, which is really, really, really important. Always, not only at education, but also at work. Thank you very much. Hope I was